So the Baseball Hall of Fame announced the class of 2019 tonight, and this is a very good class, headlined by the first ever unanimous selection for the Baseball Hall of Fame in Mariano Rivera. I do have the results in front of me, so let me go through that real quick. As far as the ones that got in, and it was four very well deserving choices. Like I mentioned, Mariano Rivera got all votes, 100%. First time ever in the history of the Baseball Hall of Fame that somebody was voted in unanimously. Roy Halladay and Edgar Martinez each had the same number of votes, which rounds up to 85%, 85.4% if you want to be correct or, technical. And Mike Messina got 76.7% of the votes. So those four guys are in. I have to say, very well done by the Baseball Writers Association of America, um, getting these guys in. I think Rivera was a shoe-in. That was a no-brainer. Um, but I'll be honest, for a while, I didn't think Rivera would be a unanimous selection. There's somebody else who's going to be on the ballot next year who I thought would have been the first, but I'll mention that in a little bit. Roy Halladay, good to see him go in first year on the ballot. Very well deserved. Was a very good pitcher, like I said in my video, if I had a vote. Um, so I'm glad to see him in. Edgar Martinez on the last year of the ballot. He gets in pretty comfortably, as a matter of fact. You only need 75% of the votes. He got 85, so he got in real smooth. And Mike Messina, that was the one that some were wondering, was he going to get in? Was he not going to? He was on the bubble. He got in pretty comfortably with almost 77% of the votes. Just to mention the ones who did not get in, Kurt Schilling was the highest vote getter there. He had just about 61%. It's 60.9, but I'm going to round it up to 61%. Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds at 59% there. Larry Walker had 54%. He has one more year on the ballot there. Omar Vizquel had 42% of the votes. Fred McGriff, I knew he wasn't going to get in, unfortunately, even though, like I said, when I did my video, if I had a vote, Fred McGriff would have gotten my vote. This was his last year of eligibility on the ballot, so he will not be on the ballot next year. But there's a very good chance in the near future he's going to get his chance to go in via a veterans committee that's going to get him in more than likely. Manny Ramirez, third year on the ballot, only got 22% of the vote. Then the rest, Jeff Kent, Billy Wagner, Todd Helton, Scott Rowland, Gary Sheffield, Andy Pettit, Sammy Sosa, and Andrew Jones were the ones who got more than 5% of the vote, thus keeping them on the ballot for next year. The ones that missed staying on the ballot next year pretty much were all first-time players. The ones who got votes and just didn't make it were Michael Young, Lance Berkman, Miguel Tejada, Roy Oswalt, and Placido Polanco. They got votes, but not enough to stay on the ballot. And then the players who did not get any votes, Rick Ankiel, Jason Bay, Freddie Garcia, John Garland, Travis Hafner, Ted Lilly, Derek Lowe, Darren Oliver, Juan Pierre, Vernon Wells, and Kevin Youkilis. They are off the ballot for next year. I do want to say, like I said a moment ago, I did not think Mariano Rivera would have been the first one to get a unanimous 100% of the votes. This was a few years ago. The one that I thought would get it is going to be someone who's going to be on the ballot next year, and that is Derek Jeter. I think Jeter is going to end up being the second player in the history of the Baseball Hall of Fame to be voted in unanimously. But he's going to be headlining a very interesting group of first-year players on the ballot that also include Bobby Abreu, Josh Beckett, Eric Chavez, Adam Dunn, Rafael Furcal, Jason Giambi, Paul Konerko, Cliff Lee, and Alfonso Soriano. I also want to mention Roy Halladay getting in, and they mentioned, if you didn't watch the telecast of the Hall of Fame, Roy Halladay will be the first player to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame from a voting, not with the exception of Lou Gehrig and Roberto Clemente, the first player to be voted in since Christy Mathewson when they passed away. So that's a very rare situation there. But congratulations to Roy Halladay getting in. Now, as far as everyone else on the ballot, this is where it's going to get interesting for next year. Because Larry Walker is in the last year of eligibility. So he will be on the ballot next year. He is at 54% of the votes. For him to get in next year, he's going to need a 21% jump in votes to get in. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how that goes. And then another question. Will Curt Schilling get in next year? Does Roger Clemens or Barry Bonds move closer? But you also have a lot of guys. Omar Vizquel, I think, is going to get a lot more votes next year. I think Andy Pettitte might get some votes next year. I don't really know. All I know is when we get to this point next year, Derek Jeter's going in. Hands down. That man is going in no matter what. After that, I don't know. I really don't know if anybody else is going to get in. So I think the battle more than likely will be who gets the other votes besides Derek Jeter. And I think that could either cause more players to get in or it could cause nobody else to get in. And then to be safe, to look at 2021, because, like I said, Jeter's going to be voted in next year. The first-year eligibles for 2021 include Mark Burley, A.J. Burnett, Michael Cutter, Dan Herron, Tim Hudson, Torrey Hunter, Adam LaRoche, Aramis Ramirez, Alex Rios, Nick Swisher, Dan Ugla, Shane Victorino, and Barry Zito. So if nobody else gets in besides Jeter in 2020, you're going to get a better shot in 2021, I do believe. But today is about the four gentlemen who got voted in to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Again, congratulations to Mike Mussina, Edgar Martinez, Roy Halladay, and the first ever unanimously voted player into the Baseball Hall of Fame, Mariano Rivera.